Okay, let's jump right in. To really get this, you have to picture the map of Europe in the early 1990s.
Right.
It's just chaotic, it's exciting, the Iron Curtain has just, shattered, the Soviet Union is dissolving.
And everything's in flux.
Everything. And you get this massive cultural vacuum where the East is just crashing headfirst into the West. And right in the middle of all that, we see the rise of this very specific kind of icon in adult cinema. We're talking about the Hungarian siren, Erika Bella.
Such a fascinating intersection of, history and media.
Right.
Because when we look at Erika Bella, we aren't just looking at a performer with a huge charmography.
No, not at all.
We're looking at a symbol of a very specific transition.
Yeah.
She's the bridge between that classic, almost operatic Italian cinema diva look and the booming, high-production American market of the mid-90s.
That's the angle I really want to drill down on today. It's so easy to just look at the numbers. The sources say over 130 films, maybe even 150.
A huge amount of work.
But her story is actually a masterclass in career management. She navigated two completely different continental markets, different languages, different expectations, and somehow kept her own agency intact.
Which, let's be honest, is incredibly rare in that industry. The attrition rate in the 90s was just brutal.
Exactly. Most careers lasted, 18 months? Maybe 2 years if you were really lucky. She went for 15.
15 years.
So the mission for this deep dive is to really unpack how a young woman from Budapest defined an era, survived the industry's Wild West phase, and then managed to pull off the perfect exit strategy.
And we've got a really interesting stack of sources for this. We're pulling from biographical transcripts, some great retrospective essays on her filmography, industry databases, and even some commentary from that time on her impact in Europe.
Let's start with the origin story, because before she was Erika Bella, she was Erika Rakosi.
That's right. Born on August 23, 1972, in Budapest, Hungary. And you really have to consider the context of her childhood.
Communist Hungary.
Yeah. I mean, the glitz and glamour that would later define her on-screen persona, that world was just geographically and politically impossible for her growing up.
Yeah.
She spent all her formative years behind the Iron Curtain.
So she's a teenager right as the whole system is collapsing around her. That's a huge leap. And according to the sources, her entry into the public eye wasn't straight into adult film.
No, not at first.
She actually started out in her early 20s as a mainstream photo model.
Which makes total sense when you see her later work. There's a real poise there. But the pivot happens, as it often does in these stories, through a connection.
A friend.
A friend introduced her to, let's call it, alternative modeling. And once she got a taste of camera work, the transition to motion pictures happened incredibly fast. We're looking at 1993 as the year she takes that leap.
1993. That timing is it's absolutely crucial, isn't it?
Pivotal. This is right when Eastern Europe is opening up. Suddenly, Western production companies have access to this brand new, massive pool of talent.
And Hungary becomes a hub.
A major hub. Producers were flooding in because the costs were lower and the talent was fresh. But what makes Bella stand out is that she wasn't just, another face in the crowd. She had a very specific energy that just resonated immediately.
It's the speed of her rise that really gets me. One minute she's modeling in Budapest, the next she's arguably one of the most famous faces in the European adult industry. It wasn't a slow burn at all.
No, she arrived fully formed.
And that leads us straight into what you could call her European diva era.
Absolutely. And if you look at the industry trends back then, especially in the U.S.,
yeah,
what was happening?
Grunge.
Grunge. The whole heroin chic aesthetic, the girl next door look was starting to get a bit messier, flannel-clad, more casual. Erika Bella was a complete antithesis of that.
Oh, totally. The sources make a big point of this. She was high glamour, we're talking auburn hair, impeccable makeup, jewelry.
Always in high heels.
Always. And significantly, no tattoos, no piercings.
Right. One of the sources actually lists that as a heavy strength. It literally says she is not confused about her role.
She dressed the part of a movie star.
She leaned right into that classic sensuality. It's reminiscent of those movie stars of yesteryear, the Sophia Lorens, the Gina Lollobrigidas. And this specific look is why she became such a massive success in Italy.
That makes so much sense.
The Italian market has always had this deep reverence for the diva, that larger-than-life, untouchable, yet deeply sensual figure. Bella fit that mold perfectly. She wasn't just a performer, she was a siren.
And she worked with the absolute titans of that European scene. We see names like Mario Salieri and Joe D'Amato in Italy.
And Marc Dorcel in France.
These aren't just guys with camcorders. These are directors known for high-budget, almost art house approaches to the genre.
Precisely. Her debut was with the production house Private. The film was called Virgin Treasures, released around 93,
And they
95.
flew her out to the Caribbean for it.
Exactly. That sets the tone right there. This is a luxury product. This is not a warehouse in the San Fernando Valley.
And the reception was huge. Films like Concerto of Vienna or Canetta Lotta, as one source has it, and La Veneziana really cemented her status. She was seen as a revival of Italy's classic screen sirens.
La Veneziana is a great example because it's a period piece. It requires a certain look to pull that off.
You can't just put anyone in that.
Right. You can't put someone with a modern grunge aesthetic in a period costume and have it work. Bella had that timeless quality. She looked like she belonged in the 18th century just as much as the 20th.
So she's conquered Europe. She's a household name in Italy and France. But then she does something that not everyone manages to do. She looks across the Atlantic.
The American pivot. This is the mid-90s. The U.S. market is, well, it's arguably more competitive.
Definitely more lucrative.
For sure. But stylistically, it's a different beast.
How so? I mean, a film is a film, right?
Not exactly. The European style, especially with a director like Salieri, focused a lot on atmosphere, on costume, maybe a more narrative flow or artistic lighting. It was about the tease, the build-up.
And the American style.
In the 90s. High production, yes, but much more focused on, let's say, the mechanics of the scene. It was faster paced, more gonzo-influenced. Even if it was still glossy, it was all about efficiency and energy.
And yet she thrives there, too. She starts working with top American directors like John Leslie and Patrick Collins.
She navigated that transition beautifully. She brought that European elegance, but she proved she could handle the intensity of American production.
There's this one film the sources mention that really highlights this versatility. It's called GB Girl 20, directed by Biff Malibu.
Oh.
And it's set inside a Harley-Davidson shop.
Yeah.
I just love that visual contrast. You have Erika Bella, this Hungarian diva known for wearing ball gowns in Vienna, and now she's in a Harley shop in this high-energy American production. It just shows she could adapt to whatever the scene required.
And that adaptation brought critical acclaim. In 1996, she wins an AVN Award, which is basically the Oscars of the industry for Best Group Sex Scene in World Sex Tour 1.
That's a huge stamp of approval from the U.S. side.
It signaled that she wasn't just a European import anymore. She was a top-tier player on a global scale.
The sources mention, 130, maybe over 150 films? That is just a staggering amount of work.
It is, and it speaks to her reliability. In this industry, talent is one thing, but professionalism. That's the currency that keeps you hired. One of the essays we looked at noted that she was, quote, not confused about her role.
She treated it like a job.
With dedication. Yeah.
Speaking of dedication, we have to talk about the name. Or names, I should say.
The aliases. Yes.
It's a bit of a rabbit hole. We know her as Erika Bella, but the sources list a whole phone book of pseudonyms. Erica Ruse, Erica Stone, Melissa Hart, and then all the misspellings. Erica with a C, Erica with a K.
This is actually a really interesting quirk of the pre-SEO era. Today, a brand would be terrified of that.
Oh, right, because people couldn't find you on Google.
Exactly. You need one handle, one spelling.
Yeah.
But back then, distribution was physical. It was VHS boxes on a shelf.
So Erica Rouge might just be the name for the French market.
Precisely. Or Erika Stone for a specific, maybe edgier line of films where they wanted a tougher sound. Sometimes distributors would just repackage old footage under a new name to make it seem fresh. It didn't really dilute her brand because her face, that specific look we talked about, was so recognizable.
You saw the cover. You know it was her.
Yeah, you knew who it was, regardless of whether the box said Rouge or Bella.
So let's talk about her exit. Because usually in these kinds of biographies, the exit chapter is, well, it's complicated.
It's often abrupt, sometimes tragic. Or they're just forced out by the industry moving on.
The crash and burn. We see it all the time. But with Bella, the sources describe her exit as gradual and measured. She didn't just vanish one day, she slowed down.
The timeline suggests she started tapering off in the mid-2000s.
That's right.
She continued to work, appearing in films sporadically, but by 2008, she'd fully left the film world. That's a 15-year run.
In an industry where a career can be 18 months, 15 years is an eternity. It just shows a remarkable level of sustainability.
And then she goes home.
She returns to Budapest. And I find this second act of her life really compelling. She didn't go into hiding. She didn't try to scrub her past. The sources say she began working as a dancer.
Which just feels like such a natural progression.
It is. It frames her post-film life as a continuation of her autonomy. She's still harnessing that confidence, that performance ability, that sensuality, but now it's in a live setting on her own turf.
in her own city. It's owning the narrative. She wasn't exiled to Budapest. She returned there. She took the capital she earned in the West and brought it back home,
It's also interesting to think about the timing of her retirement. She gets out right around 2008.
which is another stroke of genius, whether it was accidental or not. She left right before the tube era really took hold,
Before streaming completely demonetized the DVD market.
and free content just flooded the internet. She rode the wave of the VHS and DVD boom perfectly, and then she stepped off the train right before the track ran out.
She timed the market.
She really did. She extracted the maximum value from the golden age of high-budget production and left before the whole thing collapsed.
So, okay, what's the big takeaway here? When we look back at the legacy of Erika Bella, what's the thing that really stands out?
For me, it's that she represents a bridge. She's the link between that old-world European glamour and the modern digital American efficiency. She was part of that wave of Hungarian actresses who really, they built the Italian mature film market in the 90s.
They defined it.
Totally. Without that influx of talent from Eastern Europe, the industry would have looked completely different. She isn't just a footnote. She's a key figure in the globalization of adult media.
And she did it while maintaining control. In an industry so dominated by men, male directors, male producers, she carved out a space where she was the undeniable star. She commanded the screen.
And she kept her dignity. She didn't let the industry chew her up and spit her out.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on. We've talked a lot about reinvention in this deep dive. Bella moved from communism to capitalism, from modeling to film, from Europe to America, and then finally back to a private life in Budapest.
It's a remarkably clean break.
Exactly, and that's what I want to leave you with. In today's world, where our digital footprints are permanent, where everything is archived in the cloud forever, is that kind of graceful, controlled exit even possible for public figures anymore?
That's a great question.
Can you just go back to Budapest and be a dancer, or has the internet made that kind of second act impossible?
The right to be forgotten is getting a lot harder to exercise.
Something to think about. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.